So This Is Love by 4 Curious Dad on AO3, Episode 35, Chapter 14, Training Camp, Here We Go. The bus ride went on peacefully. Thankfully, the class was energetic as normal, and nobody was really paying attention to the back row, except Sato, who occasionally invited them to try his home-cooked cookies. Aizawa-sensei sat far enough to not pay attention to Todoroki's shirt swaying and moving in itself, by his right side. Does the little one have a name? Sero rapidly took his finger for another failed attempt to pet the furball. Ah, yes. He told Koda that his name is Eri, so we call him that. Eri? That's it? Is there anything else? He told Koda. Like how the hell he is so obsessed with you and wants to scratch my face off, for example? Nothing much. He had a hard time in the streets, then was taken in by Sensei. And the rest is how we know him. Wow, great. Next time let my buddy Koda squeeze all the information out of you, furball. Suddenly the bus stopped. Sarah looked out the window to find that it was a very secured area. There was no resting place in sight, just plain roll on a hill, and green up to the horizon. Maybe we've reached a rest stop and everyone's getting off the bus. Todoroki, let's go. Just leave Eri on the bus. It's harder to hide him when Aizawa-sensei was there. Todoroki nodded, carefully peeling the cat, who was glued to his right arm, then pulled him gently back to Shinso's back. Unfortunately, it was not a rest stop, or anything. On the contrary, it was the beginning of their training camp. Everyone was being swept away, pushed into a dark forest, and fighting monsters after their brief meeting with the two wild pussycats, a group of pro-heroes. Izuku was awkward and hesitant at first, but then it became easier and smoother to team up with Class 1A. He got to do support role or even attack with his own ice. On the way to reach the camp, there were some short moments they took a rest. Todoroki quietly thanked Natsune for giving him the traveling kit to treat wounds. He hurriedly came over to Sero, lying on the ground without a single movement, and handed him some band-aids. Can you help me with that? I can't move anymore. Sero asked, then satisfied watching the dual-haired boy nod and tend to his wounds. It's gonna sting for a bit. I will blow on it for you. Hang on. Todoroki applied disinfectant, then blew on Sero's cut on his arm, copying what Sero did for him a while ago. His cheeks were swelling, making him look like a chipmunk hiding its food inside of its mouth. Sero had to use all his will to stop himself from pinching it. Nice try, Shinso whispered. He was resting nearby, rolled his eyes when he saw the two of them. Sero could trick Todoroki into carrying him like that, but he couldn't trick the rest of his class. Ha! Look at him. Just a moment later, Sero could still move around, with all of his tape fighting monsters helping people, but then quickly dropped on the ground and exasperated his cut with a toothpick size as he saw Todoroki was looking for him. Shinso, Kaminari, Jiro, and Tokoyami, who were near enough to witness it, all agreed it was better to not say a word about that, and batted an eye, while the new kid still tended to Sarah's wounds. The end of the afternoon. Finally, the young heroes had reached their true destination. Everyone was exhausted. After a brief meeting with the whole group of pussycats, the students were told to have dinner. Shinso, Todoroki, would you mind staying behind a little while? Aizawa called. The rest of you can go. Is it about the cat? Sarah whispered. Todoroki nervously glanced back and forth between Aizawa-sensei and Shinso. Koda was still standing, shivering, and twisting his fingers with a worried expression. Maybe. Shinso pulled his hair, then left with Todoroki to follow Aizawa-sensei. We'll see you later, Shinso mouthed to Todoroki, then pulled Koda to the dining area, reassuring him that no one would get into trouble. Well, Koda at least. Shinso, Todoroki, I understand you have a hard time catching up with the hero course since you're not used to heavy training. Aizawa started once they were alone. Tell me about today. Was it too hard for you? Do you have any difficulty in getting Used to real battles? I'm okay. Todoroki calmly replied. Me too, no problem. Glad to hear. I also want to know about your guys' decision. Are you good with the 1A? Do you want to transfer here? Why would you ask that? Shinso stopped pulling his hair and stared at Aizawa. Don't get me wrong. The teacher raised his hand in protest. I actually want both of you to be in my class. I have taught and trained you guys long enough to know about you. But I can't take away your right to choose. You can also have a detour in Class 1B to see if you would fit in. Todoroki recalls his impression with Class 1B. Not a lot. Besides, their homeroom teacher, Vlad King, was a buff and straightforward man. The class he had, well, as energetic as he was, especially that blonde guy who screamed at him the other day. But truly, he knew this answer even before Aizawa had asked. All of his plans for the future at the school had always had one particular person who would always be by his side. Apparently, Shinso had the same idea. When they exchanged a short look, then both focused back on Aizawa. Seeing the boys look, Aizawa was already aware of their answer. Okay, I'll talk to Vlad King, and later Nezu. We'll get the paperwork coming through for you guys. Do you have any questions? No, Sensei. Shinso yawned, and Todoroki shook his head. Perfect. Because I have one. What is this pipsqueak doing here? Aizawa untangled his weapon to reveal the fur ball curled up in there. What pipsqueak? I don't know what you're talking about. Shinso? Aizawa waited to say something more, but the cat jumped out of it and landed right into Todoroki's open arms. Ah, yes, sure, he said, rolling his eyes. First beer, then cat. I need a long vacation after this. Yes, indeed. Shinso nodded in agreement. Then he explained to his guardian about why he had a cat at a training camp. Well, that's good news, now that we know the name, and its preference of people. Aizawa rubbed his head. However, it is still unacceptable, but I will save the lecture for later. You two have dinner. So we can take care of Eri. Yes, Todoroki, you can. No problem. I don't mind. Alright, okay. Obviously, as I was gonna find out about the fucking cat, there's literally no way. I'm scared! Because I know what's gonna happen, and I'm scared for the cat! And everybody else as well, but mainly for the cat! I mean, like, everybody else, clearly, like, I don't want them to, like, you know, but, like, the cat! Okay. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds, have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.